Hey everyone, this is Patricia. Well, I've hinted at this for quite a while. It's finally time to tackle in a huge anniversary. An anniversary based off something so iconic, so classic, so memorable, and it stands still to this day the test of time. We are talking, of course, about the Game Boy. Released on April 21st, 1989 in Japan, and on July 31st of the same year in North America, the Game Boy was a revolutionary device that made people play quality games outside of their homes. Now known classics such as Super Mario Land, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Tetris, and even Pokemon Red and Blue were released in the Game Boy. Sure, by today's standards, it's a blocky gray brick with no colors, relying on AA batteries to power it, and poor lighting while playing in a dark room or at the family car at night. It was a milestone in gaming culture. Yeah, believe it or not, I still have my old Game Boy. Well, technically it's a Game Boy Color, but I've had this for about 20 years, and it still works, believe it or not. And it's about time that we tackle in some of the iconic and classic games for the Game Boy. The first one we're going to be talking about is Doug's Big Game. Yes, I know it was based on the Disney version, aka the best one, but I'll make an exception since there were no games based off of the Nickelodeon version. Released on December 15th, 2000, Doug's Big Game brought the action-packed and fast-paced series into a small Game Boy Color, with everyone's favorite protagonist, Doug Funny. The game begins with Doug waiting at the park to hopefully meet up with his crush, Patty Mayonnaise. However, she is nowhere to be found. But luckily, Doug's friends Skeeter, BB, Al, Moo, Chalky, and more can give you clues to know about Patty's whereabouts. In return, Doug has to do various tasks and errands to get the information that he needs. During his never-ending quest to find Patty, he has his classic daydreaming moments where he gets to perform as Quail Man, fighting against his most iconic adversaries such as Klotzenstein and Robobone. What makes this game a standout is the RPG-like structure of accomplishing tasks to gain information to complete a mission. Most games at the time were 2D platformers to cash in on the Mario and Sonic craze, but the developers knew that Doug was special, so they did this awesome gameplay to spice things up. It's just like the show. You walk around, you talk to people, you daydream. You walk around, you talk to people, you daydream. You walk around, you talk to people, and you daydream. There are even multiple endings, including a good ending and a bad ending. Sure, today you can get a walkthrough, but back then, you had to play the game over and over again in order for you to get Doug and Patty together. You had to work hard for that ending. Just like when Doug had to work hard to get Patty to spend time with him. That's real life, and this game perfectly captures it. It's fondly remembered by many people for a reason as one of the best licensed games of all time. It puts the NES DuckTales to shame. I think that should be enough for now. Let's switch over to another game. I know. Let's switch over to Rugrats instead with the iconic and beyond masterful class that is Rugrats Totally Angelica. Rugrats Totally Angelica is actually a port on the PlayStation game of the same name. You play as Angelica as she walks around this giant mall and plays a bunch of fun minigames to win clothes, jewelry, makeup, shoes, and hairstyles. Each minigame gives you one piece of it at a time, which makes you have to play each game multiple times so you can be able to get enough clothes to impress the babies, Grandpa Lou, and Reptar during the fashion show. But that's okay, because the games are so good, you don't mind playing the games over and over and over again. In fact, this game is so good that you can just play it with one hand. Just grab something else to do and just play this game. I'm checking my email and playing this game all at once. It's just that amazing. The story becomes even more epic with the final stage where Angelica is dressed up as a princess and you have to rescue Fluffy, who's locked up in her cage. You get to accomplish every little girl's dream by riding on a merry-go-round pony. Your main challenge in this level is going to be this well. If you get too close, you'll fly backwards to a previous spot. That's great, because everyone loves a good challenge that appears right out of nowhere when the game was mostly easy. It keeps you on your toes, you know. You get the tiara and become the prettiest girl in the world. Isn't that what everyone hopes to become when they complete a video game? A 3-year-old toddler who has a nasty temper but an overconfident attitude? Yup, that's what I want to be. Not a bounty hunter who destroys aliens and saves the galaxy. Pfft, no way. 3-year-old toddler is where it's at. Alright, I think that should be enough with this game. So I think it's about time that we take a break and talk about the Super Nintendo. Let's go get it. Oh yeah, now we're getting to the cream of the crop. Ren and Stimpy Fire Dogs for the Super Nintendo. Based off of one of my favorite episodes of the entire series, Fire Dogs 2 from Adult Party Cartoon, aka the best one. So, I take it that this is the prequel of that episode because we're not at the fireman's apartment. I expected a level where we had to pull down his pants or clean the toilet before the female guest arrived, but no. Instead, we have this level where Stimpy goes around collecting things to place at the fire truck, and then you had to rescue a bunch of weird items and horses when you're outside as the firefighter? Why couldn't they base this level on Fire Dogs 2? That was clearly the better story. It had memorable moments and 3-dimensional characters that made you laugh and cry. I guess that episode was just so good that no games couldn't be made to perfectly replicate its genius. Well, I think that we've had enough time looking back on these 3 iconic video games. Now before we go, it's time to end things off on a really, really high note.
Beware, beware, it's April Fool's Day, the day when nothing is quite as it seems, the day when the jokers all come out to play with their sneaky little schemes. Yes, they'll dash your hopes and dreams.
Just like Hollywood.
Don't believe anything you read.
Don't believe anything you watch.
Some dope thinking he's slick is the last thing you need. It's less fun than a kick in the crotch. The worst day to be on the internet. Your friends post great news that's not true. You know it's the first, but they hope you'll forget. So may we suggest that you beware, beware, it's April Fool's Day, the day when nothing is quite as it seems, the day when the jerks all come out to play with their shifty little schemes. How they love your angry screams. Ah! Don't believe anything you see.